Greetings, people. Hello, hello. Nice to see you. Hey, Sal. Haven't seen you for a little while. Jane, Carol. We've got the quality few here today. Very good. We've got questions that you can put on the dashboard, ask a question, and we've already got a couple that have come through. So let's dive into those. Onric, can you please give a quick tutorial on best cases using of the redirects? Yeah. So you're on the enterprise plan now, Onric, is that right? You are. There you go. Yes. So that's one of the additions that you get with enterprise is redirect links. So I'll show you what that looks like.
So the only one I've created, I took the kind of the Zoom link, registration, and I created a very quick redirect for that. So, that was the only use I've done of it. And I'm like, I should ask Grant, how else do you use these things?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly a good use case for it. And so I can show you here. So just to make it super clear for everyone, this is an enterprise only feature. It's a redirect. So what happens here is it's essentially taking what can be very long URLs and making them much smaller. And so if we have a look at when we copy this, if we look at it here, you can choose a word to use or a number of phrase, something small to use as the redirect tag. And so if you look at what this looks like, this example, it's always the normal domain /r/ whatever tag you're using. So it's just handy when you're sharing particular links in emails or with people that you can have the whole link displayed without it taking up multiple lines. And so registration links particularly can be automatically created when you're in an area. This is probably what you've done. A registration, when enabling that, and then there's a create the link, choose what you want to call it, and away you go. So sometimes we create areas like for team members, like a team theater sometimes, an area where the team can hang out and they can see what the show's doing and that sort of thing. Having that as like team dash theater or something like that actually is memorable. And even without trying to find the link and looking for it on another device, that's where it comes in really handy, is where you've got a really simple tag that everyone sort of knows, or even for yourself, right? Where I know you use multiple computers. Now you don't even have to share that link around to those computers. You can just type it in, So
are they specific to the organization or to the event?
To the event, yeah. To the event, because the domain name includes the subdomain, right, of the event. So it always
because the only other one I created was for a client to his Zoom areas, right? So I created a quick slug like that for his Zoom areas so that he can just go to his Obvio domain /rooms, and that takes him right to that whole thing. But that's on an event basis. That's not. Yes, correct. I just answered my own question.
Right.
There. All right.
Yeah.
I put myself back on.
No, you're fine. That's a perfectly reasonable question. No worries at all. All right. Hello to the extras that have joined us. Nice to see you. A few names there I haven't seen for a little while. All right. Let's have a look. Okay. Let's answer, Enric will answer your other one. Requires approval, tick box on creating rooms. What is the effect? Yeah. All right. So this is not explained very well, and it has been there since, well, probably for like 4 years. It's been like this. Most people, and this is still the case, that in 95% of the setups, you just leave it as it is default. But I'll explain it because it's of interest. So this is not, it's not a helpful phrase, and either is this written very well either. This is something that we keep talking about wanting to change and trying to work out what we do. But one of the things is that we're redoing how some of the Zoom options, and so that you can get some of these things like local recording or enabling, disabling Q&A or things like that, right? There's a few extra features that you may want to be able to turn on and off for Zoom, and we're going to make those available. The standard, the way that Obvio works, a fundamental of how it works to keep it secure, is that it utilizes the Zoom registration, so that if someone copies the link from the standard Zoom link and sends it to their friends, what will happen is they'll go to a registration page, a Zoom registration page, ask them first name, last name, email, and then it will say, "Thank you, your registration is awaiting approval," which means it goes nowhere and they can't get into the Zoom meeting. What this is, and this is a bit of a tie over from before we had those registration links. The term the terms are overlapping, which is not helpful. Let me just make an alias for those Zoom registration links, as what we were just looking at on room and area. As an enterprise user, you can create an area registration link, right? Let me just, this will all help to make sense at some point. People on Pro won't have this option at the area level, right? They only have it at the room level. So registration enabled. Now, the term that I prefer, and I think we're going to change it to, is direct access links, right? So a direct access link means that it bypasses the dashboard. So if you think of it in terms of that, for a room, it will give you direct access to that Zoom meeting. Now, this is what's important, whether the area is open or not, right? So this is where it's particularly helpful, where you want team or speakers or whoever you want to get into your room or rooms before the area is open. What happens with the area, the area direct access link, is that it is affected by the open area link, and this is where we have used this. We have used this for some events where they don't really need the dashboard, but they want all of the Obvio load balancing, multiple rooms, all of that fanciness. And so what they'll do is they'll just use this area direct access link. And that means that now they can get all their attendees through that way, and they don't use the dashboard at all in that sense. So the reason I went into all of that is that we didn't have that before, right? And so we didn't have direct access links. And so we needed a way, particularly the use case is we wanted an Obvio Zoom meeting as a help desk to allow people to join the help desk without being properly logged in to the dashboard, we wanted them just to be able to join somehow so that if they're having trouble getting into Obvio, that they could get to the help desk. This is a long way to answer your question, but it gives you the context of how we got here.
No, that was excellent. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
So the final step of that is that, and to answer the question now, because we generally, you can use those direct access links to achieve what this used to achieve. And what that is if you turn this off, then it doesn't turn off Zoom registration, but it enables automatic registration approval. Okay, so if this is off for the area and you send someone the Zoom, the actual Zoom meeting link, they'll get a registration page approved and will be able to enter without having Obvio proper, a dashboard access or be an attendee. So yep.
No, I'm thinking of what is the best use of that, because I'm building a lot of really cool like dashboards, right? Where sometimes people are not expert users and they're trying to kind of get in, and then out of 100 people, there's always one or two morons that just don't know how to use a computer, right? Then you just want to be able to get them a link and go, shut up, stop distracting me. Here's your link. Come in the meeting,
And I agree. And I would still use the direct access link for that to the room.
Yeah.
So they'll get a nice branded Obvio page that then first name, last name, email, change the button to say join Zoom, click join Zoom. It goes and they join. So I think it still looks better than using the default Zoom registration. So that's all that's for. And so really we'll likely remove this because the same functionality exists by using those direct access links.
Yeah.
And if you didn't, yep.
No, I have it set up like that now. So literally you come straight in there. That's what you get to log in the portal. And the one from Zoom looks almost like identical to that.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the direct access link looks that looks cool.
Yeah.
And if you're following along and it's not making sense, don't worry. You just leave it as default when you create an area and you'll be fine. This is a very, very edge case of an edge case, talking about these ones. So all good. All right.
Yeah, this is what it looks like if I send the link out.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
no,
yeah, I just wanted to make sure we have a super important meeting in there tomorrow. So I wanted to make sure that I did that right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. Yep. Appreciate you very much.
And Anurk, remind me, are you on the Pro or the Enterprise version?
Is Enterprise.
Enterprise, yeah.
So for you, I would use the area link over the room link for normal attendees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did just explain that.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. So that the toggle of the area is observed. Thanks, Justin. Hey, Justin.
Hey.
All right. So, Carol is asking about sales page. Do a lot of images reduce the processing speed of the page? Can you double check our page? Can you share with us disclaimer footer? Can you share with us an example of a thank you page? All right. So, Carol,
yes.
Do images reduce processing speed?
And I just wanted to say one thing. Wait, Grant. So the other Carol Eisenberg is not me, but it's Francesca Grace who works with me. You see, she's there. So I wanted to make sure she was on the call so she would be able to get the information also.
Great. Excellent.
Okay.
All right. So just have a look at
Yeah, Grant, the reason why we asked about the processing speed is because we did a lot of design on Canva. So
Okay.
our sales page is primarily images that were uploaded and then, configured in space. So it loads a little slow in my preview. I wasn't sure if that was going to be true for everyone once the link is live and published.
Yes, it will be. So, so I'm guessing so that some of your images are like they also include the text sort of different sections. Is that right? Yeah. So sort of there's a couple of disadvantages with that approach. One is speed, as you're saying, because it does take longer for it to load those larger images. One of the things with that is that the text is not screen readable, meaning accessibility can be an issue for people with differing abilities. And so that's something to consider. It also means that that often Google can't read it, right? Like it's not as Google goes and scrapes the page and learns it and indexes it for being searchable, that a whole bunch of that text is not being able to be read and seen. So there are a couple of options, but my recommendation often is to take the inspiration from what you've done in Canva, and then try to reproduce it as much as you can by separating out those text blocks and making them actual text blocks using background textures and then using the images that would go in those places. And what that does is it means that all that text will load instantly, or pretty much, and then the images will fill in. Those images can often be a bit smaller in file size as well, and so then they'll load. So one of the things with sales pages particularly is that load time is really important, more important than many other websites. And the key reason is particularly if you buy ads. If you buy ads to send traffic to those sales pages, even a small budget of ads, which is often recommended, Google particularly and Facebook and others do page load tests, and it can get to a point where it says we can't send traffic to this page because it loads too slowly. And so that's something to consider. Now, that's a technical reason. Of course, also, you want all of your possible customers to also have a very fast experience, so that they are less likely to leave. So all of that to say, which is all I think behind your question, is how do we make sure it's fast? And so file size is really key. Using as much text as real text and not in the images makes a difference. And so one of the things with doing text in images is that you often want to have high resolution because the text will look soft or not sharp, right? So by separating out the text, having that sit over the top, maybe there's ways of doing that over the top of the image, means that the text looks nice and sharp. You can lower the size of your image, and that way now you've got the best of both worlds. It loads fast, and you've got the text as real text. Now you might hear all that and say, "That's great. I just want to use what I've already created," and that's totally doable, right? Like you can do it. You just might need to compress those images a little bit more in some software that allows you to change the resolution, and instead of using like PNGs, for example. You could use JPEGs. The JPEGs you can compress a little bit more often when you're saving it. You can choose how much compression it uses, and it will get softer or more pixelated, but you find a happy medium there. And now your file size is smaller, downloads quicker, displays quicker. So that's a choice for you to have a play around with that. So some of those other questions. Now, we are right in the middle of making some changes, some updates. I'm just double checking that on Carol, your account, that you won't see those necessarily. Yeah, all good. So you'll continue to see there's sort of two versions that we've got. We've got a newer version, but we're doing some testing on that. We're keeping the old version going at the moment, which is where you've already spent time, and so we'll leave that as it is. So shall we take a look at it? Was that the thinking? Yep.
Yeah.
We can do that. Yeah. Which event is it tied to?
It's the empowerment roadmap. The empowerment roadmap.
Okay. Got it. Oh. Thanks, Justin. I said all of that, and then I looked at it. It was like...
I know. I mean, what you're saying is really helpful, especially for those that are doing ads, etc. I think in general it's great information, but I mean, I'm not about to recreate this in Obvio. You know what I'm saying?
So I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Grant's trying to
But
be
you
really
will.
nice. I'm not going to be as nice about this. From a web design perspective and how the web works, the web is not a brochure. The web's about some background images, about text, around buttons. Yeah. This isn't accessible. It doesn't scale well on mobile. Like this is literally trying to take images and make a web page out of it, and it's never going to perform well. It's always going to be a bad experience for the attendees, isn't the people trying to get there, or there's just no way to fix that.
All right. So what would you do, Justin? What would be the easiest fix? I mean, obviously, we're going to.
Yeah, the easiest fix would be to design it. Yeah, the easiest fix would be design it as a web page. So it's great to design it in Canva, so you know kind of what you're going for, have a mock-up. But once the mock-up's done, you actually need to make a web page out of it. So going and making the backgrounds where they need to be, putting the text over it so they actually scale. Well, it's really just the web design of it.
And how
and
long
a web designer would do it.
How long would you think that would take for someone to like recreate this? Like, what would you ballpark that?
Good web designer, probably really good web designer, a couple days.
Yeah, we need it soon.
Yeah, I would have thought a few hours, because there'd be some changes that you might make, but there's ones like this, right? That is actually just that background image becomes a background for the section. That you create that by turning off this text or hiding it in Canva, and then getting that image with the way that it is already in low opacity in the way that is. And you could leave the imagine part, but maybe not. But you could, and then add the text over it. I think the most important thing to understand is that seriously, like 80% of the traffic for a standard audience is going to be mobile.
And I will say it was configured for mobile, but the whole thing got wiped and we had to restart with like a new template. So we just like got them in really quick and we didn't configure the mobile. Like that's part of my concern. I'm like scared to build it in there if it's gonna disappear. You know, can I save this? Is there an undo button? Like how do I make sure that the page doesn't just restart on me?
It should never restart unless you click the clear template button and say yes.
Yeah. Yep. So there has been as part of the reason why we're redoing this this module, but that it has been working for people. Sometimes there's been some issues with when there's multiple people connected that it can get lost in the process. But I get the apprehension. So the other question to this, I guess, is as part of the larger workflow, is there a CRM that is being used with this for this particular event?
Well, you know, what happened was it's sort of like chicken and egg. I can't until I have the sales page, but until I have the sales page, I do have Kit. I mean, Kit is, but I haven't been using the CRM for this because I haven't been able to connect it because I haven't completed the sales page.
Right. So where that sits, the thing that's a little tricky with what we've got here, the reason that we have, it's not to talk you out of using the Obvio sales page, but the purpose for an Obvio sales page is very much for a standalone event that there is no sort of intention necessarily of continuing to build your list or ongoing community. If your intention is to build an ongoing list and that you have these people sign up to this event, but you then want to market to them after this event for your next event, then the best way to do that is with a CRM sales page, because the difference is that you will be asking the right opt-in questions so that you can send marketing emails to those people post-event. If you're doing it this way, this is specifically an event registration. So you can send them transactional emails, meaning you can send them information about this event, but you can't then send them emails about your next event, for example, because they haven't opted into that, and they don't have unsubscribe options. There isn't any unsubscribe options in the emails that you would send from Obvio. So it serves a purpose for one-off events, but it sounds to me like you want to be able to market to these people afterwards, anyone that signs up.
I do.
That you want to use Kit going forward. And so I think my recommendation would be to build the sales page in Kit, so that you've got the whole workflow correct and you're getting that right opt-in.
So if I build the sales page in Kit, well, do I come back? What do I do in terms of doing when I actually do the event? Can I still come back and do it through Obvio? I mean, what happens?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because Because Obvio is mostly about event delivery, right? It's
Mhm.
actually about the event. And so what happens is there's multiple ways of doing it, but ultimately what you want when it comes to your event time is you want to be able to send an Obvio magic link to each one of
Mhm.
your attendees.
Right.
And that you can connect that to Kit,
Mhm.
so that when a registration happens, it will send that registration to Obvio. Obvio sends back the magic link. That's stored in Kit, and when you go to send the information about the event to the registration to the attendees, they get the magic link, and that's how they join Obvio.
All right, so if I would go back into Kit, which I have, I have my Kit account. So I would create a sales page in Kit, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
what happens when people register? Where, because my Stripe account is everything is connected to Avio. I'm not quite sure how I make that work. Explain to me, please.
So Kit will have its own. I don't know if it uses Stripe or not, but it
Oh,
has
okay.
its own payment systems.
Yeah.
It possibly uses Stripe. I'm not familiar with ConvertKit, but it will have some way of taking their money, and that would be the best place to do that. And I'm sorry if you've gone down this track for some time and are finding now that perhaps it's not the best fit. I'm kind of jumping to end conclusions because of some
Okay.
of the challenges you're having in this
Right.
purchase page. And I'm just taking a step back and saying, hang on, what is it that you really need to achieve? And really, it is a sales page as part of a
Right.
CRM. And so then it makes it clear what the tools are for. A CRM is doing all of that work for you and managing that list and building the list for you. Obvio is about the event delivery itself. So, maybe the day before, or, you give people access to a dashboard, an Obvio dashboard, and they can see, some of the details about your event. But it's mostly about getting people in for that event. And then once the event's finished, it's sending them back to a new sales page or your offer or whatever it is. Because that's the other step, is that if you're making an offer, you're likely going to want to do that and take their money through Kit.
Good.
That's where you're going to want to do it. Does that all
So
make
do I,
sense?
yes, but do I use the sales page that I develop in Kit? Can I use when I want to? I don't have a dashboard. So what do? I come back and how do I create the dashboard in Avio after I have the Kit sales page? I mean, do I connect those two? Is that what happens?
Yes. So, yeah, you'll build once you have that sales page. It, the reason that you might have picked this up, that we've said once you have a sales page, it's easier to build your dashboard because you
Right.
can match the dashboard to the sales page. But there isn't anything that's reliant on the sales
Okay.
page
But
about the
it,
dashboard,
okay. I
right?
understand.
It's just that you'll take all that time to design it and to make it work, that sales page. Now you've got a template to copy and use some backgrounds and colors and whatever to build out a dashboard that is just
I
for the
thought
event.
I thought that they were connected. That was because of the
Yeah.
information I had. Okay, fine. All right. Now I understand. Okay, fine.
Yeah, and you're not wrong. Fine.
What do you think?
You're not wrong that they can be connected. It's just the more all-inclusive term dashboard, right? That is Obvio, which is how do you get your attendees into Obvio and get your magic links and things like that. If sometimes we're using dashboard as that term rather than Obvio,
Okay.
dashboard is specifically, this space that you came through now for this call, right? Like
Right.
this is your dashboard here, which is what people see before they join Zoom.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah. And remember, that page, that dashboard can be as simple as join Zoom button, right? It doesn't have to have everything in it.
Okay.
It can just, that's all the purpose. That's the purpose it serves, is to get people into Zoom.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully that's kind of that's a bit of a mixed bag of information to hear.
I thought I was going to be more joyous after this call, but fine. It's okay. Wait, it's just Francesca, is there anything else that we wanted to know now that we've gotten to this place?
Very clarifying. This call has been very clarifying. So
Okay,
we appreciate, everything that you shared with us, and we can make those adjustments and get rolling.
Yeah, I think it's going to be it's going to get you in a good place for the next event as well, right? Like to get those in, to start doing a bit more in kit, which is what it's designed for, and then having Obvio as just the event delivery, I think will make that a bit easier.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, sort of.
Dan, I have a question. Why did you and Blue design Marketplace then if you're gonna encourage us to use CRMs?
I didn't encourage you to do that.
Oh,
It was specifically, no, what I'm saying is because for some people, they just need to get their event. They just need to get one event done.
got it.
And they don't have a CRM, and they don't have anything else. They've got Obvio. They want to sell event, get 10 people to come, get their money, get the event done, and then worry about, okay, what do I do now? Right.
Okay.
And so that's why we've got it. One-off thing, just make it happen. But for some people, like Carol, that thinking a little bigger than just this one event, and has already got kit, has a kit account, that's the place to do it. That's the right tool to use. So you can use scissors to cut wood, but a saw is better.
My dad always said that was a lot easier when you have the right tool.
Exactly. Exactly. And primarily what Obvio does is handles your event delivery. It's about the event. And so we've done all of that. We've got the Zoom integration, all of this stuff to make it not just another Zoom registration link email that looks like every other business email. It's not that. It's something that separates that out, makes a nice dashboard, a home for the event before, during, and after, like that. That it's not just a waiting for host to start the meeting. No, it's actually a nice page that you can provide a whole bunch of information for. And so that's why it's there. A CRM is so much more, and we're never getting into that world, right? Because it's a whole nother world for managing your list and your network, your community. And so if you do have CRM, that's the way to do it. I'm actually doing a little project for a client now, and we went down this same line, and I was like, you know what, CRM is going to be the way to do it, because specifically, I really want to have that extra text box that says, are you happy to receive marketing email?
Mm-hmm.
That stuff is really key. Obvio doesn't need to send marketing emails, and it's not designed for that. It's designed to send transaction emails, which are about the thing that you signed up for. Transaction emails like a receipt, like you've signed up for an event. Here's information about the event. Here's a reminder about the event. That's transaction. We don't want you to be able to unsubscribe from that email because you signed up for the event. And so we want to tell you about the event. But for once that event's finished, technically, we can't email you anymore, right? And so email, like spam laws and all of that, is only getting harder and harder. And so we have to stay down those, that line of understanding how opt-in and permissions and things is really important. So
Thank you for that explanation.
Thank you.
no worries. Go play with Kit. Cool. All right. It's a fair question though, Kat. It's like, why did you just handball them to Kit? All right. That was that one. Is Liz here? Just going to give time for her to come back if she isn't. Oh, good. Hello. Thank you. That's right. Thank you. All right. Kat, we're starting to set up Obvio for an event. What are the first three and order of things to do, please? Tell me about your event, Kat.
Well, I'm just going to do a quick little thing to before I head to Rotary's International Convention, which is on Peace and Planet. I wanted to do a test market, a challenge like that would prepare me for my event in September. So I was thinking of a 3-day, 3 hours a day, just like a mini TVE, but of course on climate and coaching. And so I don't have a lot of time because I'm on grandma duty and I am also selling our house here in Hawaii. So I was thinking if I could just do something really quick and invite a few friends, get some feedback, I'd be in the best mindset to curate these 150 world peace projects.
Yeah, okay. It sounds to me like the key things that you need for an Obvio event to work is some attendees,
Yeah.
a dashboard, and a Zoom area, right? And so if I mean, really, as I've said before, you don't actually even need a dashboard, but it still is a better experience in that you can send people a direct Zoom access link, and they can come through that way, and you can do it that way, so you don't have to make it complicated. But it sounds to me like for that type of event that you would put a very basic dashboard together.
Okay.
A little bit of information about what you're doing that has a button. You haven't created the event yet in Obvio? Or have you?
I think I've just very started it. Yeah.
So then you have a little bit of information. You have a button that connects to a Zoom area. You create a Zoom area main stage, for example. You connect the button to that, and now it's just about your attendees. And if it sounds like you sort of, for this, you're making it event only, invite only, then you can send an email to people and ask whether they're available and keen. And if they are, you add them as an attendee. You can manually just add them into Obvio as an attendee, or import them from a CSV file, or however you want to do it. And then set up, I'd use the broadcast function in Obvio to send the emails to them, and you're done.
Okay.
That's the basic steps.
Super. And what would I add on to that in September? when I wanted to do my full-blown
Bigger.
3-day event.
The thing's bigger, so I'd be asking the same questions as I was just talking about before, about what you want to do with these people afterwards. And when they are signing up for this event, would you like them to, be subscribing to a marketing list? And if so, then you want to do that through a CRM, is really the way I think about it. It is possible. I was saying before, if someone just needs to get an event going, they don't have CRM, they just need something, and then they end up with 50 email addresses of people that went to their event, and now they want to start building their list. Inevitably, what happens is they're going to take that list of 50 people, put it in a CRM, and they're going to then get people to opt in. Likely they're going to send them an email and say, now are you willing to opt in to receive marketing emails from me, yes or no? And so that's likely what you do. So yeah, one step at a time. I think you do this first little event. I think it's a good idea to test it out and just keep it really simple. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Spend more time on your content than building out dashboards and getting distracted with all of that.
Thank you so much.
No worries. All the best with it, and all the best with selling your house and stuff. It's one of the most stressful things you can do in life, so be kind to yourself.
Yeah, I just did it in August, so this is house number 2. I agree.
Right. Yep. All right. What else have we got? So Justin, you're saying that Liz is all covered. It's all okay.
Yep. On the cards template, originally there was no header opacity. And so whatever color you made it, which happened to be green, was over the top of whatever the background was. Now you can actually turn on the opacity. So I turned the opacity all the way down so that, or all the way up, whichever one lets you see the background so that she sees her full trees instead of a dark green block.
That is funny. Do I need lots of opacity or no opacity to be able to see there?
Yeah.
So when it's 100% opaque, is that opaque and I can't see anything now? Or
every time.
Anyway, yeah, that's
20
right.
years in, and I still have that question.
It's always the second thing you do is what will be right. The first one will be wrong. Yeah. Very good. Okay, great. Well, there you go. Liz, if you're watching this, you now know. Right. And cat. Cool. Hey, Tamara. The webinar question. Hello. Is there a way to link a simple webinar, not a session or Zoom event, with Obvio, meaning I can have a button that goes directly to a webinar? Yeah, so
I just don't want to use Zoom events or webinar. I want to use Obvio.
Yeah, gotcha. And you don't want, so when you're saying webinar, it's more the type of event, not so you're happy for it to be in a Zoom meeting in Obvio?
So so here's the problem. I need to use the webinar platform, but not the events part of Zoom. So you can get a webinar and you can get Zoom sessions or Zoom events. If I use Zoom sessions or Zoom events, then if I use Obvio, it's going to be like a double registration for them.
Thing.
Is there a way to do it? I've kind of read, and it seems like you can do it with just the simple Zoom events. I mean, the Zoom webinar client. Is there a way to do that? That's what I'm trying to figure. Yeah, because the setup of the event doesn't quite work in meeting with the technical capabilities that my team has, because, or maybe it does. Maybe you can tell me if it does, because I have the girl who's running it is She's good in OBS, but if I bring that into a meeting and project into that same meeting without the ability to project from one into the other, then I'm going to get a delay because she's going to pull, and then that's not a good experience for people in the meeting. So I can solve that problem by what I normally do, which is use two meetings and project one into the other. And like I've done crazy Zoom rooms and nutty stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have a team to do that for this particular event. I have a girl who knows how to use OBS. And so with webinar, she can control the 90-year-old guy who's pitching his book and all the people, the parts that she has to do like it were a theater event, and it won't have that delay for the audience. So that's why I was going to use webinar. So talk me out of using webinar or tell me if I could do it. Oh, great ones.
Just explain to me about the delay. So you put the author as a panelist in the webinar. Yes.
So in a webinar, you don't necessarily have that problem. And the other thing is I play around with webinars a little bit too, where I put the audience in the backstage area so they have more of an audience-like experience.
I see.
Because, I don't use anything the way it's supposed to be used.
That's right.
You should know this. If there's a way to challenge the norm, including Obvio, and especially Obvio. But I do think the better experience for the user is Obvio over Zoom events. Sorry, Zoom. I just think that that whole process, even the most simplest one, is just so ugly, and it doesn't give them what they need, which Obvio would totally give them what they need, which is a place to purchase the book and a place to do all of the things that I could do on Obvio that I can only do in an ugly way in Zoom. So that's why I want to use Obvio.
So let me say what I understood about the delay and see if this is what you're saying.
Okay, tell me.
So if I understood it right, I'm talking right now, but what would be happening is Grant would be running OBS and capturing me, and he would be the one displaying it. So now there's a bit of a delay because we're not in the same space.
Correct. And that is what happens with Ecamm. It's what happens with Obvio. They're great if you're going to record, but not put back into the meeting because you're really scraping out and putting in. So the way to do that, so the way to do it would be webinar, because webinar has already built in a buffer to alleviate that in terms of how Zoom has built webinar.
Do you have interaction with the audience at all?
I don't have interaction with the audience. That's why it'll work. So that's the thing is, I'm just looking for the quickest. Someone came into me and was like, hey, can you help these people out? And I was like, yeah, I'm regretting my life choices. So I come to you.
So so that I can regret your life choices. So what's the difference with just having two Obvio Zoom meetings? One with the participants and one with and one with all the audience. You're saying that it's too complex for them.
Yeah, I can't be there to run it. So I'm trying to find the simplest solution, because what they told me it was, hey, we've got an author. He's going to be on stage. By the way, he's 90. He needs a teleprompter. I'm like, okay. And, it's one of those situations where everything seems easier unless you actually do these events. And so there's panelists, because it's like there's talk back with people. So it's turned into a lot more like actual cues. Like there's like 20 or 30 different things that happen. It's not like, oh, I can just spotlight people. The other thing is it's a around 200 person event. So then you're kind of in a nomad land. Originally, I thought to do a meeting, put the panelists in a breakout room and pull them from the breakout room. But I still am worried about that playing video and playing and trying to frame them into whatever this visual image that they want to look at.
That sounds to me like a great approach. I think you are still yes, I think you're still going to be pulling even in webinar, you're still
Mhm.
pulling the people from one place and putting them in another,
Right.
and projecting it back into another.
But I
So
feel like the way that webinar is built is it doesn't have that delay in the same way because you're pulling them. You're not, I don't know, maybe I'm lying. And maybe it does only work with Zoom Production Studio.
yep, I was going to say that is different
Right.
because you're doing the composite, setup is being done
Mhm.
sort of in Zoom in a way,
Right.
and then pushing that back, and it's automatically pushing that back to the audience rather
Right.
than it being in two separate places. But so yeah, it seems to
Because
me
they
it's not
have,
between.
yeah, so they have pre-recorded pieces now and they have live
So
pieces.
this is what I would say. My recommendation for this whole thing is you
Uh-huh.
pre-record the whole thing.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I love that idea too. I'm
People
gonna
don't.
pre-record
People,
pieces of it.
I mean, I'm just like people
I
make
know.
it so much harder. They bend themselves into pretzels doing a live event, and then they
Right.
never have any actual reason for it to be live.
I know.
There's you can totally make it like broadcast it live.
Mhm.
Totally, still have your
Yeah.
audience, a couple of hundred people, do all of that. Have chat live, have people sitting in chat answering questions, doing all of that. But
I
if
know.
you
I
were
love that
never going to
plan.
take live questions anyway, you
I think
are
they are gonna take live questions. So I think they are gonna take live questions. So that part of interaction they are gonna do, but they're not using like breakout rooms or anything like that. I mean,
so
that's my only, yeah. Because
so
when I
I'll,
talked with this stage manager, because she was like, "Oh, well, I've always done it on OBS." I'm like, "Tell me about your system." She's always done it in webinar and done live theater events where they were able to preset her cues, and I was like, "Okay, well, that makes sense." But I feel like in webinar, it's designed for that, and meetings is not designed for that. Maybe I'll
so
shoot Andy an email.
do you know what? A question. Uh, uh, my challenge to you is: are you asking someone to do something outside of their wheelhouse
I think
unnecessarily
right,
because they've already done this before and it's been fine? That's what they know,
right,
right? And if you're not going to be there, is
right.
anyone saying that,
No,
what problem are you
so
solving?
the problem is that the people who are putting this event on in their mind want it to be a certain way. That is not really possible given the
Right.
times. They literally, I just got the script today and yesterday. And I'm like, what you're asking for is very different than what you have capability to do. And I don't want to make it more complicated for this stage manager who's going to run this thing because
Yeah.
I mean, if I did it, I would do it as a meeting and I would just, use my own meeting and not Obvio's meeting and use OSC and put people on stage and take people off of stage. So
Right.
like that's how I would do it. Um,
Mm.
and then use my ATEM or eCam or something to bring in
Yeah.
the video. Like that's what I would do.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to be there and this girl and this team does not have that capability, or if they had, more time,
Yeah.
more money, I would like bring JJ in and let him do his,
For
Zoom
sure.
room magic,
Yeah.
It'd be-
Sure.
but
Yeah.
it's not like, it's just kind of like, it's one of those things where, I'm not sure that they're understanding the complexities of it, of like
No.
what I know that's what it is because they're thinking in terms of theater people. So they're thinking in terms of I'm in a room and these people come on stage and then they go off. Like that's their thought process because they're live theater people. So
Yeah.
that's what they're thinking. That's all doable with
Honestly,
time and money.
when I see these things and people do stuff in webinar, more times than not, it's just a live stream. It's
I
like,
know.
what? Why are we making this harder by trying to do it in Zoom
Yeah.
when it could just when you could use Zoom for your contribution and then just put it
Right.
on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And then to your point about the dashboard, the dashboard has the buy links and all that stuff and has an
Mm-hmm.
embed of Zoom. sorry, an
Right.
embed of YouTube, and you're done. Now they're not moving anywhere. They don't have to launch anything, like way easier.
I think
So-
getting them to tape, like they're not even rehearsing all at the same time. Like I think it's going to be harder to do that. Some of the things I am pre-taping, like I'm pre-taping some of the scene work, which I didn't know I was pre-taping, but guess what? Tomorrow I have a record in Zoom with people on iPads. It's going to sound terrible and look terrible, but we're going to do our best.
Yeah. Well,
So Tamara, as I hear you talk about this, I wonder if it's just spotlighting people, having the person with OBS, sharing any slides through the virtual camera,
Right.
playing any videos through the virtual camera, and just controlling it that way so that people come on and off the stage with the spotlight.
Yeah. I think that's what I'm going to do just to make it easier. And what I'll do is I'll set their names in Obvio in all caps with a emoji after them so she can see them easier and just keep them in a backstage area. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Because
or do the meeting and just put them in the meeting and promote them to co-host if they need to be co-host, or just manage spotlighting on a meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can do. I'm worried because of the flow of how spotlighting works when you don't have the ability to spotlight easily. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously
takes a few seconds.
With OBS, like if I've got if I've got 4 panelists, it's like not a here they are type of situation.
It takes a moment to bring them up, but I don't think attendees even typically notice. It's not like a 5 minute to get the panelist up if the person has all the names and can type. Like
I don't think
maybe 60 seconds max.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think it's that. One of the things that you do is you rename the people that you want, and so they have a star in their name or whatever.
Right.
In the panelist box, you put a star, and now you've got right there. The panelists are the ones that you want, and then now you just go down and spotlight or remove from spotlight or add to spotlight.
Okay.
And of course, we know. Right, we know that OSC and doing some fancy things with that. You can make it really tricky, but you also can just do it very simply, just with the standard Zoom tools and just really simple.
Okay, that's what my original thought was, but then they were like, "Well, it needs to go like this," and I'm like, "It can go like that, but you don't have the tech team to do that."
That's right.
Anything's possible with time and money.
Yeah,
I bet you they'll still think that it went exactly like they planned it. That if the person's doing like a 4-person spotlight and has to do one after the other, even when you push the buttons and do them all at once, sometimes they show up instantly. But I've had other times where it looks like I manually did it as it's taken its time for Zoom to do the spotlight.
Right. All right. I think if we can just if I can probably play around with it. And
I would relate it back to the terms that they would understand, and that would be, would you try to do a full theater show and have the stage manager also doing sound and lighting for the show, right? You would never think of doing
friends.
That. Right.
I think they would. Because when they first said, "Well, this is what we're looking for," I'm like, "That is not what you're looking for, by the way. That does not sound at all what you were looking for."
Right.
Because they're like, our stage manager could do all this. I'm like, I'm a union stage manager. I'm not allowed to pick anything up. If I'm at Carnegie Hall and a music stand has to move 6 inches, I can't touch it. I'm like, can you move that right there?
For that. Yeah. Not there. Not there.
So
there. Not there. Not there. There.
I'm assuming that they do not know that there would be more people. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
It's always nice to have a little bit of this in writing. Some of the recommendations you have in an email, just so you know, this is what you're risking. You'll risk X, Y, Z, and then when that happens, it's not so you can say I told you so, but it's just like, okay, so next time, let's revisit that, because that is what happened. You risked that, and this is what happened.
Right.
My recommendation still, even with all the with all of it, is I would pre-record the whole thing and then do live Q&A.
Yep. How would you pre-record it? That's my next question to you.
Oh, I mean, it's so much easier, right? Because you can do it in bits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that the different segments you can record, and you can, I mean, doing that in OBS is super simple. Record in OBS instead of projecting it back, just do it in OBS. Now take all those recordings, put it in the exact way you want it to run for the show, and now it's a hour play out or whatever the show is, and now it just plays out, and then you do live Q&A at the end.
I mean, I love that too, because they get to record, which is what they want to do. I can't in our Obvio. I only have a pro account. I can't do 2 recordings at a time, right? It can only do cloud recording. Or can I record to my computer and
local
cloud?
Record?
Yeah.
It is, so it needs a little setting from us to change to enable local recording on the actual meeting, which I'm happy to do for you. And then the trick with it is that, and you would totally get this, is that when you first start the meeting, it's cloud recording.
Right.
You can't then start local recording, because technically recording is already happening.
Correct.
So you stop the cloud recording.
Mm-hmm.
You then start a local recording on that computer.
Yep.
And then on another device, you start the cloud recording.
Great.
That's how that works. And so then now you've got it. Now you've got a local recording and a cloud recording that's going on the same thing.
Awesome. And so when I set that up, how would I get that set?
Just send an email at help@ovv.io and I'll enable it for you. This is something that we are working on being able to have an option in Obvio to enable.
I totally get why you didn't. They had an incident on this particular show where, like, I guess Nancy Pelosi was in the audience, so they weren't supposed to have her. And the person, their tech person was like, "We have to erase these," and they were like, "You've erased all of our copies. We could have just cut her out."
Yeah.
So now they're like, "We have to have it recorded in multiple places." I'm like, "Okay, sure."
Okay then. Yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Cool. You're welcome. All right. Henrik, if you send people the area or room link we discussed earlier and they register, where does the registration go? Will they become attendees in the dashboard? So yes, the area registration, they actually get tagged. They get tagged. So they get created if they weren't already created as an attendee, and they get tagged with the tag called area registration. So you'll know that that's how they came in. So if they go through that, the room, I've not actually looked at that. Justin, have you seen that? Does it make a room registration?
It's a room registration tag.
Yeah, there you go. It's the same. So yeah, you can track them that way. And you can send them their dashboard link afterwards, like as in they are an attendee, they can join that way. So yep.
They basically just bypass the dashboard.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
What camera do you have, by the way, Grant?
Oh yeah. It's not anything special. It's an M50, a Canon M50. And it's a which I wouldn't necessarily recommend.
Yeah.
it's sort of worked.
I've been so unhappy with mine,
What have you got?
I got a Sony A6000 or something like that on a fixed lens. And I've had so much trouble getting the lighting done in the studio, and I mean, shit, do I have gadgets in here? And I'm like, some dudes with some like little Osbot camera looks better than mine.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I think lighting makes a big difference, right? And so and I prefer to have a warm warm light. I prefer warm light in my eyes, right? And so I do a warm light on the front, and then it's a cool light on the back that is just my hair light.
I love your setup. I think it just looks so great. I mean, it's so kind of natural, so inviting. And I mean, I got like huge lights going up here, man. It's like psycho lights, man. Psycho lights.
Yeah, I mean, these ones. Yeah, right.
That's my setup before I got the big lights up there, and I'll take another picture and update that. But I got so much lighting in here. I now need extra air conditioning. So anyway, I want to.
I mean, you probably don't need any other lights. Yeah, so you probably already got all the gear you need. It's just a matter of tweaking it a bit more, you know.
And understanding cameras, you know, the aperture and the f thing, and that's just a whole different language for me. But it's important because of my switcher that they have to be HDMI cameras, because I really do use my green screen a lot.
That's the thing. That's the difference. Yeah.
Let's maybe correct that one statement. Your cameras don't have to be HDMI. You would just need an SDI to HDMI converter. That Blackmagic makes tons of those. Decimator makes them. So if you needed a SDI camera, you could go that way. Yeah, but it is far easier and cheaper to not have converters. And you are right about the camera, figuring out your ISO, your f-stop, your exposure, your white balance. It's our project when you get the higher end cameras, or like an Osbot or an Insta360. They're pretty well tuned out of the box. And so a lot of times they do look better than the camera, just because the cameras are meant to allow a person that really knows what they're doing, which is not myself. If I had someone actually tune mine for me and literally hop on a meeting and be like, okay, adjust your ISO, like put it back on the stand. Let's see what it looks like. Adjust your aperture. Like, because I couldn't figure it out either. It's a big mystery.
I was on a ladder the other day for 3 hours trying to do that, and my little Brio here does just as good a job, and it's $50, right?
Yeah.
So
they're, depending on the Sony cameras you have, they do make some mobile apps that you might be able to connect with the camera and adjust some of the settings, so you don't have to keep going up and down the ladder.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'll get to it sooner or later. I'll figure it out. Finally got the sound working properly, because these Rode pod mics, they literally pick up your own heartbeat. They're so sensitive.
For those interested, this is all I have as my lights. I got 2 of these. They're great, little e-sport lights, and they mount to my sit stand desk, so it goes up and down with my desk, and super simple.
Yeah. No, I mean, the green screen factor is a big one, because you want that to look good, and I really do use it, because I'm constantly, switching in and out of my iPad, which I use as a whiteboard, right? And then it's going into the switcher and recording it. So, like this is like my most frequent thing. I can't seem to explain anything to anyone without scribbling, right? So I need very quick access in and out of that, which is the predominant reason why I use that, and I create all these kind of digital environments. But good camera and lighting is hard to get that right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You can always, like, the only thing that you're achieving there that's different because of the green screen is that you are cut out, but you could totally just be in a box. That's the only difference. You can still do have the iPad there, have whatever you want, and so you could just have a real background, and then you just go in a box, and now you don't have to have a green screen. So it's just worth thinking about.
Yeah, I don't like being in a box. I'm German. We're born in a box. All right, love you guys. Catch you later.
No
Bye.
worries. Good work.
We'll just give you a little triangle overlay so you're not in a box.
Yeah, that's right. Or circle.
Yeah.
All right. I don't think we have any more questions. I don't know if Annalise is still listening. If you are, I had a question for you. if anyone else has any questions. Oh, she is there. Hey. Yeah, I was. Because I see that you're on a treadmill, and I'm thinking about doing the same thing. So I wanted to ask any tips that you might have.
I love it. It's a little hard sometimes when you're doing like, small movements of work or whatever, but it's a
Yeah.
good way to kind of break up your day. And obviously, I have a standing desk with it, so I can go up, down, and kind of change up my day a
Yeah.
little bit.
That's
Yeah.
what I've got as well. And of course, we're going into winter here, right? And so it was like,
Mhm.
oh, this just makes sense for me.
Yeah.
And there's some meetings that I've started having meetings walking now when I'm outside walking, and it's totally fine. People don't care; they
Yeah.
can't see me. And so
I know.
to do that in my office, I think would be great. And I've already got the sit stand desk, but
Yeah.
so
As long as you have space to, um,
move it out of the way.
I've had it in like two different offices, so two different office configurations, and this one works the best because I have space behind my desk, so I can just lift it up, slide it back, and
Okay.
I use it a lot more now that I just can, tilt it up, slide it back, use my little, like I have like an architect's chair, so it's still a taller chair because I don't like to sit all the way down. So I just, I'll sit in there. And so my desk isn't going that far up and down, but just the ease of not having to like if you have to move it and set it up against the wall, it collected a lot more dust for me when I did that. So
Yeah.
just being able to easily push it in and out
Okay.
makes me more disciplined to use it.
I was on a call with someone recently, and she was doing the same thing, and like she was just walking as we were talking, and I was joking with her too because she was moving pretty quickly, and so like she was just a little bit out of breath, which was funny because it was like as we're discussing things, it just kind of added this extra tension as she's talking. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, and so I'm hoping that we can do this. It's like, all right.
I was on a meeting this morning like that, and we were talking, and I'm like, okay, hang on, I gotta like hop off of it really quick, and we can keep talking because I'm not out of breath with you, but yeah.
I'm not anxious about this meeting. Just so
Right.
everyone knows,
Right.
I'm not having a panic attack right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. But what she had was she had the treadmill against the window, and then I'd not seen these things before, but it was a suction cap laptop shelf. So
Oh.
it just sticks to the window, and then she just puts her laptop right there, and now she's like looking out the window and the laptop. I'd be just nervous that that's just going to pop off and smash my laptop at some point.
Someone's awful trusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be my you wouldn't catch
Not
me
your
doing
preference. No. Fair enough.
I will say, Grant, the one thing I wish for the standing desk is that I just had a separate kind of desk with it. I find most of the time moving it in and out, inevitably, I end up using it less than I thought I would. Because it's the whole, when I'm done with it, I can't really stand on it and work. It kind of hurts the feet to stand on it when it's not moving. And so I can't stand off of it and work. So I end up moving it out of the way. It's easy to move. It's just one of those annoyances of moving it out, moving it back in, moving the chair out of the way. Or if I just had like a laptop stand on it, I'd probably walk over and just I'd literally probably put the stand on it, watch like office hours, do some work, and then be done with it.
I'm thinking about, yeah.
Yeah. I just got one for another desk and I just hardly ever use it. I've had it for like 9 months and hardly ever use it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a preference thing and finding what works for you. Sometimes I set an alarm. If I start my day sitting, I'm like, alarm goes off in an hour, then I have to stand and I have to get on the treadmill. I actually kind of like standing on it, Justin. So I wonder which one you have. I mean, it just depends.
I put the one I have in the chat.
Oh, I could do that too, but it just makes it something you have to use it again, So yeah, I always wonder. So here's a question for the group. I always feel bad, like how distracting is it if you have somebody on camera that's walking versus, you know what I mean? Sometimes I feel bad if I have my camera on and I'm just rocking in here. rocking back and
Yeah.
forth.
Funny enough, I know people that do the same exact thing and aren't on the treadmill. And
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's true.
true.
If I'm standing, I do that too. I
you're
move
standing,
around
you
a little
move, yeah.
bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it never bothers me.
I like it. It inspires me. It tells me to get outside, do something. What are you doing? Look at her. You know, I think it's great.
Well, thanks, Abigail. I appreciate that.
Anytime. I literally took Justin's link before he told you. I'm like, I need to get off my butt. It's time. If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go get myself, I don't know, whatever you guys are doing. I need to get rid of my energy anyway, right? I'm gonna try it.
There you go. There you go.
Love it. Love it.
I also love the hot pink and the dark purple together. You two are looking good. I don't know. All that
go.
lighting in the background, that really works. That looks really good.
Thank you.
You're
We
welcome.
coordinated it, right, Grant?
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. I had an event that I was doing and sat there, and so sometimes it was overnight for me, and so I turn these lights off, and then this is a little bit more cozy as I'm sitting here, and the purple was a bit more comfortable than some of the other colors, so that's why it stayed purple.
No, it looks like you had a consultant. I'm from Hollywood. You've got the navy and the dark purple. It's working for me. Good job.
There you go.
It's macho but relaxing.
Are we sure it's just not the voice?
It could be a title of an album. Macho, but relaxing.
Relaxing. No, but with the hot pink with Annalise, it's just perfect. And no, Justin, it's not the voice. We're used to the voice already. Come on, the poor guy. He's in winter. I don't know. He's all messed up. He's up all night. I mean, have a heart.
Exactly.
This is not easy for him.
We always joke with Grant that his voice is nice and relaxing.
It is actually.
Put people to sleep. All right. There's no more questions in there. Timothy was missing out on all the fun, so you jumped in. Good to see you. Any other questions? No, just didn't want to miss what might be life-changing. The last question of this call could have been the thing that changed everything for you, just in case.
The pressure.
I know, exactly. All right. I think we're going to call it then. Thank you, everyone. You can always post questions throughout the week, and we'll endeavor to answer them, even if you're not here. You can watch the recording afterwards and email us at help@obv.io throughout the week if you need any assistance. Otherwise, have a great week, smash it out, and get some treadmill steps in, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.